Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to today's session. Actually, I'd love to see our faces and I'd love to see our notepads. But unfortunately, it's a virtual meeting, but we'll try. We'll try our best to make sure it's worthwhile. And then my name is Choma Onikelu. If I proceed, I'm a blockchain forensic specialist at cNGN Forensics and compliance officer at cNGN, perhaps CBDC. Okay, so you're welcome to this training. It's actually a mandatory regulatory requirement. But then I'm not alone on this task. I have my amazing co-facilitator by name Oge Anene. She'll introduce herself better when she comes. But then just part of my own bits. So please let's relax and enjoy the session. Please, if you don't have your writing pads, you don't have your notes, your pen, your jotter, please get you ready, get your water close to you. Then we are going to, at some point, when we finish the main session, we're going to be having breakout sessions where we would kind of have an interactive session where you can join your team members. So look out for the people in your team. Are they on the call before you be the only one here? So check for your neighbors, check for your team members to ensure they're on the call. And please, another thing you need to do for us is to kind of let us know your team. I don't know how we're going to achieve that, apart from the people that I know, so that we can be able to put you in the correct breakout room. So just type in your name in the chat box with your team. That's okay for now. We'll pick it from there and place you in the right breakout room. So please let's do that while we wait for others to join. So at this point, I will welcome my co-facilitator, Oge, to start off the session. Thank you. Okay, you have the floor now. You're muted. You're muted, okay. Hi, okay, can you unmute and hear better?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's such a pleasure to be with you today, especially for this training and as we continue to shape the future of cNGN together. My name is Oge Anene. I'm a crypto investigation associate at A&D Forensics, and I'm also part of the training team at A&D as well. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started by letting you know who we are and why we're here. So at A&D Forensics, we specialize in blockchain compliance and investigation, helping companies prevent and respond to fraud or irregularities in digital asset environment. We also involved in the crypto asset risk management. This includes helping platforms manage transaction monitoring, onboarding, and just the overall trust in their systems. And we also offer regulatory advisory and training, especially for virtual asset service providers operating in this fast evolving space. Now, the reason why we are here is simple, right? So we know that as cNGN grows, so does the responsibility. And we're here to support your team in understanding exactly what regulatory compliance looks like at this stage of the product journey, right? So here's what you'll be gaining from this session. So you're going to gain clarity on what compliance requirements actually mean. This is not just theory, but you're actually going to see it in practice. You're going to get a clear view of your department-specific responsibilities, because compliance is not just for the legal team, it's for everyone. And you're also going to get guidance on how you can stay aligned with the SEC and the global standard as the project scales. Okay, so now, this training is not just a lecture. It's not just any other training. This is about making sure that you understand the parts of compliance that affect you, right, in your role, and you also see how they connect to the bigger picture. Okay, so by the end of this session, you'll be able to understand how cNGN fits within the global stablecoin ecosystem and why that's attracting regulatory attention. You also get to identify the key regulatory bodies like the SEC, the FATF, MICA, and all of that, and you'll know what they expect from this project. You're also going to clearly see why compliance is official. It's not official, it's critical, right? Not just for avoiding fines, but for earning trust and building something that lasts. You get to know your specific roles, whether you are in tech, finance, marketing, operations, and all, whichever you fit into. You get to know how your work impacts compliance. You get to also learn how to access, acknowledge internal policies as well. Understand how to handle incident reporting, what qualifies as an incident, and how you can respond effectively. You're also going to be familiar with AML basics and then KYB processes, because onboarding is where the risk starts, right? And then lastly, you're going to see real world case studies of companies that got this wrong, and then the lessons we can learn from these mistakes as well, right? So before we move to the next part of this, I want us to test the room. Maybe let's do a little test before we move to the next session. No pressure, this is not graded, but I just want to see where we are at right now. So I'm going to drop a quick poll in the chat, and I need your answers immediately. Okay, so the poll is in the chat. What type of stable coin is cNGN? Just take a second to vote. We are not marking, there's no right, wrong answer, you know. Let's just see where we're at, and then we'll reveal the answer together. I'm just curious about what you think. Quick vote, please. I can see just 2 people. It's in the chat. Check the box.
Okay, let me come in here. Please, you check by the right. I think you see a square like dot square like whatever shape it is. You click on it and then you answer. I think that might be another challenge. So let's take it now. So we'll have 4 votes already. Yes, just click on those. When you go down on your screen, those icons, right? You see an icon that says meeting tools, right? So when you click on meeting tools, you click on pause, you will see it. I hope this helps. Okay, menu icon. Thank you, Miracle.
All right, I think we have all right, let's continue. Yes. I think thank you everyone. Thank you to those who voted. I think we have enough votes already. I can see some solid guesses in here. So the correct answer is actually C, is fiat backed. And if you're not sure, don't worry, that's exactly why we're here, to break down what's going on, and then you get to see the next. Okay, hold on. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. All right, so let's start with the basics, right? So what exactly is cNGN? So cNGN is a digital version of the Naira and is built to be stable, meaning the value doesn't go up and down like most currencies, right? So every cNGN is backed 1-to-1 with actual Naira held in a bank. So that means that when you hold one cNGN, it's like you're having 1 Naira in digital form. But the key difference is that it's on the blockchain, so it's faster, it's more transparent, and it works easily for online and cross-border payments. Now, to help us understand where cNGN fits in, just like I asked earlier, let's look at the 4 main types of stable coins, right? So we'll have the fiat-backed stable coin. These are backed by real money like Naira or the USD, and that's where cNGN fits in. The same with USDC and USDT. We also have the crypto-backed. These are backed by either other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum or Bitcoin. So for example, you have the DAI, but they can be unstable as the crypto market crashes or goes up and down. And we also have the algorithmic stable coin. These use smart contracts and formulas. They use codes to stay stable, right? But they have no real money backing them. So there's one that was called the UST. It crashed in 2022, and people lost billions of dollars. You also have the commodity backed. These ones are tied to things like gold or oil, right? For example, you have the PAX-G, stable coin, right? So again, cNGN is fiat-backed stable coin. It's built with real Naira in the reserves and is regulated by the SEC Nigeria and operates under a special regulatory program called ARIP, which stands for the Accelerated Regulatory Incubation Program, right? So this basically means that cNGN is being developed under the close supervision of the SEC, like a sandbox environment where the project is being monitored, is also being tested and guided to make sure that it meets all the regulatory standards as it grows, right? So you can see that this is not just another coin. It's being built carefully with the right legal checks, so it can be trusted locally and globally as well, right? So let's take a step back and let's look at the bigger picture for a moment, right? Because for a long time, when you hear a lot of people talk about stablecoin, you know, they mostly mean coins that are backed by US dollars, you know, things like USDT and USDC. That's what we hear every time, right? But it's really changing fast now, because around the world now we can now see a new wave of stable coins that are backed by local currencies, and they're really gaining traction in regions like Africa and Asia, Europe, you know, Latin America, and all of that. So now, why does this matter actually? It matters because the same benefits that made the USD stable coins popular, you know, things like fast payment, low cost payment, you know, clear transaction records and all of that, they also apply when stable coins are tied to other currencies. So it's now possible for people to send money faster and cheaper in their own local currency. And that's like a very big win for financial inclusion, especially in emerging markets like Nigeria, right? So here are just a few examples of what's happening globally, because in Africa, we'll have the the cNGN, NGNC, and then for Kenya, you have the CKES. In Europe, you have ERC, AEUR, and more. In Asia, countries like Singapore, Turkey, they've also created their own digital versions of their currencies, right? So you can see their names there. You have in Latin America as well, Brazil, Mexico, they also have their own stable coins. And just like cNGN, many of these are being designed with regulation in mind, right? So they can be trusted and scaled responsibly, right? So you can see that what we're building here with cNGN is not just relevant for Nigeria, you're also part of a global trend, right? So as this ecosystem grows, the focus on compliance, transparency, and local regulation will definitely get stronger, which makes what we're building here even more important. Okay, so now let's look at who regulates us. Who is regulating us, right? Now we know that cNGN, now we know what cNGN means, and we know where it's fitting globally, right? So who is watching us and regulating in this space, right? So let's start with our home regulator, which is SEC Nigeria. So we know that cNGN is under the direct oversight of SEC Nigeria, which is our main regulator for virtual assets, and they are very active. And we are part of the ARIP program, like I mentioned earlier, which means operating in a regulatory sandbox where everything we do is monitored closely, right? So as part of that, we also have quarterly reporting requirements, which means, you know, how we operate internally, even across departments, must meet those standards, right? So I would still submit quarterly filings. We also report to them as activities happen daily, right? So it's not just a one-time process. We report to them as activities happen every day. So it's ongoing. They know what's happening within the project in real time. So this means that SEC is really watching, guiding, and expecting high standards from day one, right? But we're not just thinking locally. Now it's both locally and globally. So globally, regulators are also tightening the rules for stable coins. So we'll have some of them like the MiCA. MiCA is the EU laws for crypto and stable coins. And under MiCA, USDT was approved, which shows that it actually meets the strict transparency and the reserve standards, right? But for Tether, that's the USDT, they are still facing restrictions in some EU countries because of concerns about how transparent their reserves are, right? So MiCA is setting the tone for, let's call it, setting the tone for good looks. Like what should be happening in the stablecoin world, right? We also have FATF, which is a global body that sets standards for the anti-money laundering and the counter-terrorism financing, AML and CFT. So they expect virtual asset providers like stablecoin issuers to have strong KYC. So they expect cNGN to have strong KYC, strong KYB, and transaction monitoring systems, right? So right now, Nigeria is on the FATF grey list, which basically means that the country is under the watch for not fully meeting certain compliance standards. But The good thing is with the new laws recently signed and the efforts happening across the financial institution, Nigeria is really working hard to fix those gaps and exit the grey list, right? So, and cNGN is a regulated product. It also plays a role in that. So how we onboard clients, monitor transactions, report issues, you know, all of these actually reflect on the country's overall compliance image. So this is not just about a company policy. It's part of a bigger national mission, right? So we also have the US stable coin laws, the US stable coin laws, because you know in the US regulators are moving towards new laws and they're focused on stable coin backing, issuer licensing and transparency, right? So this actually started with the executive orders from the previous US administration. But the interesting thing is that stablecoin regulation now has a bipartisan support, right? Which means that it's not just one political party that's pushing for it. Both the Republicans, both the Democrats in the US, they agree that stable coins need stronger rules. And you know that when both sides agree on something, it usually means that the regulation will definitely come and they will be enforced, right? And you know that, when it comes to US politics, it's rare for both sides to agree on anything. So when they agree on stable coins, you know that this is serious. So a good example is the Genius Act, which is the new bipartisan bill that's proposing clear rules for stable coins issuers, reserves, and the audits, right? So we can see that this trend is clear. Globally, stable coins must definitely prove that they are safe, they are transparent, and they are compliant. If not, they're going to face serious consequences. So while cNGN is Nigeria is operating in a global financial system, our job is to make sure that it can actually stand confidently anywhere, anytime, and definitely on any stage, right? So now let's talk about why compliance matters, because a lot of people think that compliance is just the job of the legal or the compliance team. But the truth is, it's actually everyone's responsibility. It's a company-wide mindset. Why? Because if one part of the company drops the ball, whether it's the tech, the marketing, the operations or finance, the entire business could face the consequences, right? Because it's actually a team sport. So for example, let's say something goes wrong, or maybe the marketing team puts out a wrong message about cNGN. No one outside is going to say, oh, this company, oh, it's the marketing team, they won't go to call the marketing team. They'll say it's the company misled people. So whatever department you are, your actions actually reflect on the entire brand, right? Because the risks are actually real. They are real risks, because we know that right now, cNGN is still in the ARIP program, which means that we are still being closely supervised by the SEC, but we haven't even received licensing yet. So when we talk about risks, we're not talking about losing the license we've not gotten. We're talking about missing the chance to even get the license at all. And this could mean being removed from the ARIP program. It could mean getting flagged or even delayed by regulators, or even being forced to pause or shut down operations, right? But then there's actually a flip side. And the flip side is when we take compliance seriously, it shows that we are not just building fast, we are building right. Okay, and that's what builds trust. It builds trust with regulators, with business partners, and with users, right? Because at the end of the day, compliance is what makes the product credible. Without it, it doesn't matter how great the product is or how great the tech is. People will not trust it. So when we say compliance is everyone's job, we are not just being dramatic or just talking. We are saying this is how we protect what we are building, not just from the reputational risks or the licensing delays, but also from real threats like financial crime, money laundering, and even terrorist financing. Okay, so right now this is just the foundation, what cNGN is, where we fit in globally, and why compliance is not just a legal box to check, but it's actually a company culture, right? So from here we're going to even dig deeper into the actual regulations, the processes, and the case studies that make this real. And there's no better person to take us through this other than Chioma, who is not just only a genius and a brilliant compliance professional, but also someone with deep experience helping companies navigate regulation and stay audit ready. Okay, so let's hear from her as she takes us through this. Over to you, Chioma.
Thank you so much for that. That was so impactful. So on the other hand, the breakout rooms, I've been trying to arrange the names. Some names I've not been able to assign, so you can just help me handle that from your end. So thank you so much. I'll try to share my screen. Okay, so please let's confirm if we can see the screen. Okay, I think we can. Okay,
Yes,
So, yes. So please, can you help me host the launch the second poll so that I don't. So we have a second poll that is going to lead us to the next step. So, how many stages of money laundering do we have? Please let's answer before we go into more details. Do we have? Okay, so sorry. All right. So we're here now. Welcome everybody, and we're going to look at AML basics and 3 stages of money laundering. In case you got it right, bravo and kudos to you. So what is AML? You know, it's an acronym that means anti-money laundering, okay? So now let's look at, because if you're saying anti-money laundering, that means you're trying to fight money laundering. That's why we say AML. So now what is the actual ML there? What is the money laundering there? So money laundering simply means trying to disguise the illicit origin of funds. Okay, so let's say the way you can see this washing machine. I know most of us have washing machine in our houses, right? What would the washing machine do for you? It will help you to wash off the dirt out of your clothes in like manner. Okay, this is just like an analogy. In like manner, the bad actors, they must have probably stolen the money, gotten it from somewhere else, fraud, scam. We don't want to know. We call all those illicit activities, we call them predicate offenses. They are those offenses that can lead to money laundering. Now, when they must have done that and they will acquire the money, what would they do next? They will try as much as possible to make that illicit money that they've acquired to look clean. They will try to make it look very clean. So now we have 3 stages. The first stage is the placement. So placement means you're dropping something. You're trying to make the illicit money enter the financial system. Then the second stage is the layering. So take for instance, somebody can easily, please let me accept the people there. So somebody can easily, let's say, commit fraud, do a lot of illicit activities. And when the person is done, the person would come to anybody that sells cNGN or any of our partners or any of the exchanges we must have given cNGN to buy cNGN. So that's the placement, okay? Then the next part is the layering. So what happens in layering? The person is trying to hide it. You're trying to dribble the investigators or dribble the financial crime fighters. So what can the person do? When the person must have bought the cNGN, the person can transfer the cNGN from one wallet to another. Not just that, the person can even go as far as transferring it from one blockchain to another. You know, it becomes more complicated. That's the essence of layering. And by the time the person is done with all these tricks, trying to deceive the fighters and all that, the person will now come back again and reintroduce that already pulling money into the financial system again. And that's the integration. Because at that point, it's now seemingly clean and it's coming back to the financial system again. And the person can just use the clean money now to maybe buy real estate, those days we had, what's it called? NFTs that were running, buy things like board apes and all that, flashy things, jewelry, and things you could not imagine. So that's how money laundering can be used in different other sectors. Yes, money can be used in different other sectors, or what happens there. So these are the 3 stages of money laundering. So I had to take time to explain this so that everybody in RAP's CBDC company would understand what money laundering is, will understand the different stages, which are 3, they're just 3, and how cNGN can be used in the different stages. So subsequently, we would have different lessons and lectures on this as well. But for today, this is just the basics, and I hope you now understand better. So to the next slide, we have why AML matters for stablecoins. Some people will be like, we are running away from normal crypto, you're shouting AML. Now that we're in stablecoin, can't you allow us to breathe? But I'm telling you, you will not be allowed to breathe because the bad actors are not breathing. So what happens is that these stablecoins, our cNGN, for instance, can be used to move illicit activity quickly. So you can imagine before you sleep over it, before you blink, the money has left Nigeria. It's not in another country. We can't control that, right? So it can be used for that. Regulators as well. My co-facilitator, Oge, has mentioned our regulators, both on international scene. Everybody's watching because we are not the only ones using cNGN. Okay, so they expect that we have a strong AML system. So lack of AML system alone is enough to be fined for. Just lack of it. If you doubt it, you can read the Revolut case. I believe we'll still have time to check it out, right? Just lack of it. Money laundering has not happened though. You just lack it, you'll be fined for it. So they expect that you know what to do and you actually do it. Then SEC as well. Then a weak AML control can lead to fines, can lead to loss of license. So imagine we have acquired our license now and we don't have a strong AML. That's like something that is shaking. So having the license, now we are still in the process of acquiring the license, yes. When we get the license, we double our efforts. So this is just the baby steps for us to understand that this is like a concerted effort. In some language, it be like say we don't buy market with that. Like we have a huge task in our hands, okay? And it could lead to reputational damage, okay? Then the next thing that we need to understand is cNGN's risk-based approach to AML compliance. You might be hearing these terminologies. You might even see it as RBA. You'll be like, what is RBA? It means risk-based approach. So a lot of people can decide to use different types of approach to fighting money laundering or terrorist financing or financial crimes in their platform. But the recommended approach by our regulators, by international standards, which is by FATF. FATF means Financial Action Task Force. Okay, you can Google it, you can follow them, you can see what they're doing. So what they have actually now recommended is what we call the risk-based approach. So what does it mean? It means on a general level, you're supposed to check out the risk that your platform poses. You're supposed to check out the risk that your solution poses. You're supposed to check out, you have to do a enterprise-wide risk assessment, and then you know the risks that are high, you know the ones that are medium, you know the ones that are low. You can assign resources and treat the ones that are high accordingly, low, medium, and then low. That's the risk-based approach. So how are we employing that? Some of you might have noticed that while you want to onboard onto our platform, the CDD questionnaire could differ. In fact, they are different, right? The one for exchanges is different. The one for payment service providers is different. Why? Because these two examples I have given, they are two different business models. Their risk is different, is different. In some cases, you will say that the risk for PSSPs, that payment service providers, is higher than that of exchanges. Why? You could say that exchanges are more controlled, unlike people that do payments. So now, what do we do? If we have identified that this risk is higher, we just have to assess them differently. We're still doing the same thing generally. We're still doing AML, but we're trying to assess them differently. So the next time you see that, don't assume that, compliance, they've made a mistake. Today they gave me this CBD questionnaire to fill to give to this customer. Tomorrow they're giving me another one. No, it's intentional, okay? And then the next thing that we're going to move over to now is looking at how we are going to play this ball together, how we are going to work as a team, because this is more like in a football, soccer game, everybody must play his or her own part. You can't tell me that you will play your soccer and the middleman is missing, or the front defender guy is missing, or the goalkeeper is not even the goalpost. Everybody will lose, no matter what. So we just have to play our own parts, and collectively we will all be fine. So we'll start with the IT or the tech, the engineers, the back-end developers, the front-end developers. They fall into this category. And what they do for us is to make sure our systems are secure, we have good access controls, and we have good audit logs. So whatever that is happening behind the scene, whatever data that we need, everything has to be well documented. So even if we don't understand tech or whatever it is in our own way, we are very rest assured that our tech guys are capable to handle that, to give us a secure system, right? Now, if anything happens, I'll talk about that in the incident response, but let's go to marketing. Now, marketing has a bigger role as well, right? Very huge role, because just a simple false statement or misleading, right? Not false, misleading can put us in trouble as a company, right? So we need to be very, very careful with what we are putting out there. In fact, as a matter of fact, I will commend the marketing team. They've been doing so well. If you check our last post on LinkedIn, you will see why they tried to explain why our cNGN is actually compliant. Those are the kind of messaging that we should always pull out, right? So we should make sure it's accurate, and we should avoid false claims. Nothing like 100% risk-free, like all those things that you hear or you see on platforms that are not regulated is not for us. So we should always, if you're sure of what the right messaging is, you can always ask. Feel free to ask. Check in with the compliance team. Please run this through. Is it okay? We think this might be misleading. Check it for us. We are always open. That is why we are here. And on our own part, when posts go out, we check it. We actually check posts, because if anything goes wrong, it will still come down to us in the compliance department. So we check the post. If it's okay, we don't have issues. If it's not okay, that's when we'll also act. So legal compliance, of course, we have to work on policies. Okay, the policies that you'll be reading from now on is developed by the legal and compliance department, approved by board and senior management as well. At this moment, senior management, and then reporting, regulatory liaison. So we communicate with SEC. SEC communicates with us. Okay, so they reach out to us, they write us mails, we upload quarterly filings, a lot of them that I might not mention here. So it's in our jurisdictions, our departments. So what about the business development? Interesting. These guys are what we call first LOD, okay? First line of defense, especially with the support team, the business dev, right? Why? They are the customer-facing teams, okay? They speak to clients. So they are the ones that can either tell the client, this is what you should do, explain it to the client in the way the client will understand, not in the way you will pursue the client, right? The client needs to understand, the client needs to know what he or she is supposed to do, and the client is supposed to be guided properly. That's the work of the business development. Compliance is not here to shut business, but compliance is here to make sure that business goes well in the right direction. So the business development team, this is what you are supposed to be doing as regards to compliance efforts. Now, operation, by the time you see transaction monitoring here, you might think is the transaction monitoring that happens for compliance. Well, with monitoring, this is different because operation is key. All right. Of course, when we talk about stablecoin, we talk about minting, burning. You can imagine the money can be moved from one wallet to another. Is operation. Fiat has to be moved from one bank account to the other. Is operation. And when this is done, records has to be kept. Records has to be kept, and it has to align. That's operation. So it's a very key area. Now, finance, accounting team, another area. So what do they do? Maintain clean records. Make sure that the balance sheet is balancing. You know those days when we are trying to do business studies, they'll tell you, is it balancing? Yes, all this. Just make sure it's balanced. Aside conciliations and support the audit, because as RAP CBDC, as cNGN, we also have auditors that will audit what we do, and also we have that responsibility to also share our reserves to the public. So the finance team plays a key role in supporting the auditors to make sure it's okay. Then the management, of course, tone at the top. It has to be set right. If the management has not been supporting us, even till now, we'll not even be doing this training. So all thanks to the supportive management that we have at cNGN, we're able to even run this training. That means they encourage compliance. All right. They sign off on controls. When we say, hey, this is what compliance is saying you should do it. They do that, and they are also accountable. So that's what it should be. So now, one important thing that we need to know is that from now on, we're going to be reading, assessing internal policies. Policies are here to guide us, and you'll be having policies and procedures. Policies are like, this is what you should do, know it, internalize it, acknowledge it, read it. Nobody said you should cram it, okay? Now, the procedure is now how you should go about it, okay? So when you read the two documents, you should be able to differentiate between the two. Now, it's okay for you to read it and ask questions, very okay. So you're going to be having that in the company's good drive, you'll be given access. Some of them have been approved. We are still in the process, all right? So please acknowledge it. And then the next one, incident reporting and management. This is very, 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 very critical. One thing about incident reporting, and one thing that makes it okay, is that whatever it is that we do, other regulated can also maybe report. And if we don't manage it well, it can be a disaster. There is no harm, there's no fine for reporting an incident. It shows that you know what you're doing, but there is fine for not reporting. So you can get the gist, right? So we're going to be having the link shared later on, all right? Where if there's an incident from any department, from tech, from finance, anywhere, you just fill it up and we get to the compliance department and we'll be able to analyze it, process it, and fill the filing for our regulator accordingly. Okay, so when you get it, please don't say this is how we know. All those first aid, you do it, that's fine, that's okay. When you finish, you've managed the situation, you notify the compliance department or the relevant stakeholders, right? Then we'll be able to know what happened, be able to analyze it, we'll do our job from there. And then, of course, we'll have to know what caused this and prevent it. And then update external communication. Now, let me ask you a question. When the Bybit hack happened, I know news was flying, like we are hearing it from different places. Where did you actually verify it? Probably you went to their Twitter page or you went to their LinkedIn page and then you confirmed it. So it means even marketing will have to put their ear on the ground, communicate internally to know the right messaging for the public. So you see, this whole compliance thing is for everybody. Forget the fact that we have a compliance officer sitting somewhere. But then it's everybody's task. So we need to know how to manage this internally. There's a very good reason why we should always document. Like, let it be a habit that you document what happened. Because if you don't document it and you're being asked tomorrow, you might forget. Okay, nobody knows it all. Just make sure you have where you are documenting what is happening, so that whenever you are asked a question, you can actually defend it and give responses. All right. So now we're going to look at some case studies. But before that, we would like to have the last poll. Okay, please can you help me with the last poll? Although I'm not even seeing the responses, but just help me. Okay, Teta USDT was fined $18.5 million in 2021 for misleading reserve claims. True or false? I think the options are there. Just respond. Some people will say, Teta, is it the Teta we know? Let's answer. Whether it's the Teta we know. So it's always good we check out case studies when we do trainings like this so that you know how important it is to actually be compliant. We learn from other people's mistakes. That's the wisest thing to do. That's what makes us wise, right? We don't want it to happen to us before we learn. No, let us learn from other people's mistakes. So let's quickly look at some case studies before we can have our breakout sessions. So now, you must have finished the poll. Unfortunately, I can't see it at this point, but it's okay. So let's look at some stablecoin cases. So we had Teta fined $18.5 million in 2021 by New York Attorney General for misleading reserve claims. So it was a huge one. It was a huge backlash. If you can recall, you could also probably check it out. They were actually I'm just trying to open it up so that we can look at it together. So this is like the link. So they were actually fined, and till now, in one way or the other, if you mention it, you still see it in the news. That's one thing about reputation and all these things. So when it comes to reserve backing, we're also doing that, right? We're supposed to be as transparent as possible so that we can be able to show the world that we are truly compliant and we are actually 1:1 fiat backed. That's very important. That is why we have our auditors doing that work. So it's not something that you should bother yourself about. Our senior management, they're actually doing their work on that part, right? So back to our slide, we have UST. Most of us know about Terra, Luna, that collapsed in 2022. We know the kind of stablecoin that was. I think that's algorithmic. So it wiped out $40 billion due to lack of reserve, the same reserve we're talking about and regulation. And you know what? It's when these things happen that some regulatory requirements come up. Okay, so we started having the cases of or stricter enforcement on segregation of client funds from the management or the operational funds from Theta Luna case, actually. So most of these things, it's when something happens, you will see a new law. Just like what happened in Nigeria and Kenya about the CBEX case or CBEX scam, right? It's expected that there should be policy reform. There should be something that should prevent that coming up in our regulatory requirements. It is expected, all right? Then we had the Libra or DM, that's Meta. It got abandoned because the regulators actually came for them, backlashed them, so they were not confident to continue their business. Aside that, aside the stable coin that we've looked at, let's quickly look at some crypto exchanges enforcement cases that happened just this 2025. Like, it's coming back to back. The regulation around crypto is becoming so vivid that everybody needs to wake up when it comes to being compliant and doing the right thing. So we had OKX fined 504 million for unlicensed activity and AML failures. So not just unlicensed activity, but for AML failures. Then BitMEX fined $100 million for weak AML and KYC implementation. This is not money laundering. Weak AML, like your AML is not strong enough to fine you. All right, so that is why we are doing this. That is why we're trying to be compliant. Even this training that we are hosting now is a regulatory requirement. We have to also check the box. In as much as we are learning, we are trying to be compliant, is also a mandatory requirement. So you can see that compliance is something that affects everybody when it comes to working in a regulated environment, which is what we are doing. KuCoin, we know KuCoin. They also got their own piece of the cake. So they were fined $300 million for AML violation. That's KuCoin that we know. Upbeat, in fact, Upbeat case is even interesting because they were trying to argue it. And I'm now wondering if our legal can come out and say, you people did not do your regulation well, though. This one, you are finding us, if we will not check it well. I'm sure we're not even ready for that yet. So to avoid all those drama that will now make us to come and stand in court and appear, my lord, my honor, we did this, we did that, and we refused, and you refused, I put it to you. In order to avoid all those drama, we're just going to be compliant. That's it. All right. So Orbit case was that they had to start saying, we did this, we did that, we don't want it at all. The Revolut was interesting because it's not as if money laundering occurred, but they were fined, right? So we have a long way to go when it comes to compliance. And that is why we're calling on everybody here on this call to be a great team player to make sure that we are all fine. We don't get fined, we don't get sanctioned, we don't get reputational risk, we don't get whatever it is that the risk could be. It will be far away from us by the time we all understand these things. Those are the implications. And it is important we understand it, because if you know it, it will be easier for us to cooperate or collaborate. Now, as a recap, compliance is everyday responsibility. So when you see compliance, please don't frown. Don't say, these people have come again. Yesterday when I was leaving the office, some of my guys are like, what do you want to come and say tomorrow? Compliance, please calm down, just come. Just come. This is what we have to say. Please, it's an everyday responsibility. Keep this in mind, okay? read policies, read the policies, acknowledge them. If you don't understand, ask questions, stay updated, and report issues, please. Like, we just have to communicate internally as much as possible. That is how we can build a formidable team outside, right? I think that's the end of this particular segment. Probably while we prepare for the breakout session, we could, I don't know if you have any question, maybe one question, but then okay, can do the prep for the breakout session while I finish up on the list. Thank you for having me.
Right. Thank you so much, Choma. That was really insightful. So let's please show us some appreciation in the chat. If you have a question, also on the right-hand side of the panel, there's a room for question and answers. You can drop your questions and we'll take that when we are done with the next session. Okay, so I'm sure you all have your what if scenarios Google document now. That's where your group will drop the answers to the questions for the next activity. So it's already organized and it's ready for your input. So I'm sure you can all see where the tool is. Like if you look to the right-hand panel of your screen, you can see a square icon with dots on it. So if you click on it and you're going to see somewhere for breakout rooms. We'll be getting to that shortly. In a moment, you'll be moved to the breakout rooms in your teams. So each team will walk through the scenarios which has been given to you, and then you answer directly in the document. You discuss the situations, share your thoughts, record your group response, and then you have about 15 minutes for that. So remember, there's no right or wrong answer. This is all about critical thinking. It's about teamwork and learning from each other. So once your time is up, you'll be back to the main room, and then we'll discuss your answers. So I don't think we have
I think the list resets. I don't understand what happened, but I'm trying to.
It's still there. Set up breakout rooms. Even you've shared them into different breakout rooms, but you probably did not put the names of the team. So it's just shown as breakout rooms.
I did, but let me just quickly do that. So probably we could take some questions while I do that.
So we'll have 7 rooms. If you are not in any, okay, they wouldn't even know if they're in a team or not. So I think
we'll just do it together. We'll just do it together. So we have marketing, we have business dev, we have finance and accounts, we have senior management and board, we have operation, we have tech team, and we have compliance team. So for the people that are with us in the office, I can actually know your teams, but the people not here in the office, I might not be able to do that. So please, you can kind of type your team out of these teams that we've called. People in design, people in marketing, okay? So type your team in the chat box so that we can just move it to your breakout room, and then we can move from there. Thank you. Please, we're expecting that. So we have finance and accounting, we have, and also if you have question, please just feel free to type it. Okay, so we have operation. I know operation is Mr. Dan and Imisi. So you can help out with that one. We have tech.
Okay, name the rooms, please. I think it's just showing breakout 1, 2, 3. So which is marketing, which is tech?
I'm naming them.
Okay.
Are you not seeing it from the end?
No, I can see breakout 1. What's the first one?
Marketing. So marketing, we have
Benjamin, Frank, Ibrahim, and Oluwaseyi. That's right.
Oluwaseyi marketing. How?
Okay, no, so that's the first one. That's what it's doing here. Okay, so maybe I'll just let you do it since you can see it from your end.
Yes. So marketing, we have people laughing now. Okay. So why am I not seeing the marketing names now? Huh?
That's the first one that you came back.
Yeah, that's the first one. I'm not seeing their name. People I know, they are not here. I'll leave them all. I'll just leave them like this. They'll be in the main room.
Okay, let's go to the next one, size marketing.
Business. Benjamin is laughing. Benjamin is in marketing. Who again? Business. Business is Matilda. Matilda, who again is in your team? Matilda, who again is with you? Who again is in business? You'll be alone. No. Finance. Finance is winner. Winner.
Benjamin is in tech.
Benjamin is not in any tech. Benjamin wants to go to tech. You know, answer the question there. Benjamin, I'm pitying your life. So, finance winner. Who again? Please call the name so that I can hear it. Just call for me, so I'll type it.
For which one?
Or more for finance.
It's not named.
They're typing it in the chat box, actually. Okay.
Oh, okay, from the chat.
Suleiman is there. Daniel Ebushe is there. Senior management. Who will be in senior management? Well, if Lola is in legal, who will be in senior management? Okay, no, that's not it. Okay, Omaya Shola or Dufuwa is in. Who is in senior management? Mr. Charles will be there, and you both of you will go there. We're not in the call. Okay, operation, Mr. Dan. Where is he missing? Ibrahim. You go there. Tech, Tech. Emmanuel. Who again? Miracle. Isaac. Compliance. Oh my God, what's happening?
What's the problem?
Network. Okay. I give up.
What's the challenge? So I think you've been able to split them. So maybe let's just do what we have.
If you want from your own end, then create it 15 minutes.
Yeah, so maybe if you can't find yourself in the breakout session, so I think those who are not in the rooms yet will remain in the main room, then we can probably fix them. Yes, so timing it now for 15 minutes.
Yes. So please answer the questions in your different breakout rooms and come back at 15 minutes. Just answer the question related to your department. Forget other departments there, please. So you can create it. Is it working?
Yeah, so I'm opening the rooms now. So once you open the room, you get to your breakout session and you have 15 minutes to answer the questions in your document. Once the 15 minutes is up, it brings you back to the main room and then we'll talk about the questions. All right, opening up now. The scenarios are waiting.
Please join the breakout rooms. Okay, so I don't need myself.
So is there anyone left?
Yeah, I think some people are left, but it's for us to manage the people left. We are in the main room now. Let me join one here.
So what about these people? Can you add them to the rooms, or can they see it so that they can join the room?
No, this particular tool. I'm even trying to. Okay. So on this part,
You can see who we have on the main call. Those on the main call are not in the room.
I actually have had issues. So it's not named in my end again. Is it named in your
Okay, I think I was moved to like a different room. I don't know.
Okay, they're asking for help. Requested breakout
Yeah.
for help. What's the issue?
So
Yes, I mean,
I think the names got mis. So breakout one was supposed to. Okay, let me edit the rooms. Breakout one is supposed to be marketing. We'll achieve this today, whether network likes it or not. Marketing. Marketing is breakout one. Breakout two is business development. Breakout two. Breakout three is finance and accounting. Network has nothing to do with us. Breakout four is
Breakout
senior
two is
man-
asking for help. Okay, let me go in there to see what's the problem.
Then breakout five is operation team. It was network that actually threw us out and the names changed. Tech team. And the last one is compliance. So compliance is breakout 7. So
yeah,
now
so tech team is breakout 6. Sorry.
tech team, yes, Emmanuel, you're
But
in tech team.
yes, I mean tech team, but breakout 6 looked like the wrong this thing.
Okay, so
And there are some of my tech guys that are in breakout 7.
just call the names of the people that should be in breakout 6. Let me do tech team now. So Miracle,
Sheyi, Miracle, Isaac. I
Miracle,
don't know who else was on this.
yeah, and again Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I think have them now. Suleiman is not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So I think they're okay now.
And again, where do we find the document?
The link, Oge has left me to enter one breakout room. I think the link, let me get it from here.
And
Okay.
Jerry is also on the tech team, so you might want to put him in breakout 6.
The link is in the chat. I don't know why. The link is in the
Okay.
chat. Let me paste it again. I
Seen it.
hope. Then let me treat other breakout rooms. So for why is he changing the names now? See, just messing up. Just messing up. Okay. Anyways, who again is in breakout 2? Yo-Yo is in breakout 2. Wow.
Chima, can you hear me? So I just went into the rooms now, and they are all saying they don't have the questions, so they don't.
I thought you shared the question. I gave it to you on WhatsApp. I was thinking you shared it. So
I
I
thought
shared it.
they shared with them, shared in their mail.
No, it's on this link.
Wow.
It's on this chat now. It's on this chat. And
Okay, let me just go quickly drop it in the rooms. Oh. Okay, I've seen it now. So I'll go drop it in each room, right?
yes, you can. So I think they should just start answering because I think it's the tool that is misbehaving now because each time we finish changing it, the name changes again. So is anybody still having chat of joining? Okay, so Winner, which room are you in? So I can add people to your room. Winner Morgana is in breakout 3. Finance. Winner, can you say your team member's name? Winner, and who again? Suleiman, and who again? Go to chat. Daniel. I don't know why it keeps doing like this. Ah, that's removed again. Oh. When I on the main call, oh, you're not even in any room. Okay. I kept you in one room, it's enter. Just answer anyways. I think this thing keeps changing. I don't know. Keeps changing. You keep arranging, it keeps changing. Let me try again. Everybody's scattered. Though. Please, well. Please, well. Let's see. Let me see this. I think you can actually join. I think you can actually see the breakout rooms and join. Maybe that will help. So if you see where your people are, you can just join. Because at this point, try. So but please make sure you have we're coming back very soon to respond to it. Technology. Okay, so let me just check if people are responding. Nobody is responding. Oh, interesting. Okay, so maybe we should just gather together so that we can just do it together because this technology is not working. All right. So, hello everyone. Um, we're coming back in 13 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so hello everyone. Please welcome back. Sorry about that. This one is tech issue, but at least let's see how to look at it together and solve it together. Yes. Let's see how to look at it together and solve it together and then conclude the training. Okay. So I'll be sharing my screen to make it easier. But before then, let me see if I can. Okay. All right. So Share. Please confirm that you have the links to answer the questions. We'll just be very fast. It's supposed to be interactive and we'll get it. Can you see my screen? Everybody do a thumbs up if
Yes,
you can see my screen. Okay, so thank you. So now we'll start with marketing. Marketing, are you there? Yinka and Co, are you there? So this is your question. Please, okay, help me drop the link again to the chat box. Just drop the link again. So the marketing team is running a scheduled campaign to promote cNGN. So we're doing a full recap now so everybody understands. So let's put together. The marketing team is running, but the people that are responding will be the marketing team at the moment. So we're running a scheduled campaign to promote cNGN. So one of the posts that went live, it has gone live for, is that cNGN is 100% risk-free and fully protected. 10 minutes later, compliance came knocking and flagged the language that we're using. So what's wrong with the content? What regulatory or reputational risk could arise from this post? Of course, we know that using that word 100% risk is wrong. What should your immediate response be? Should you start crying? Should you run helter skelter? You can. What should you? Who should you alert immediately, and how quickly? Then how can you prevent similar issues? Yinka, gather your team and respond. Thank you. Are we there? Business dev. Matilda, are you here? Thumbs up if you're here, please. I'll know.
Must I be the one to answer?
Yes, you and your team. You can answer. You're the team lead now. Or
I'm not the
Victor,
team lead.
or
Sorry.
Victor, everybody. But the answer should come from marketing team. We don't want to. We don't want to miss
Yeah,
that.
you can just try to answer. There's no perfect answer.
So in the breakout session, me, Jennifer, and Omoshola, we were having a conversation, and my response to that statement was, what is the risk of a naira, right? If naira has the risk, that means cNGN has the risk. But there is, in naira in itself, there is no risk except the government, who are the
Okay,
issuer.
so I understand your point, but think from
It's
the
100% risk free if you
yeah,
ask.
in order not to attract regulators to us, we can't say 100% risk free because we're not talking about financial risk alone. We have liquidity risk, we have reputation, we have a lot of risk that we're talking about, all right?
But
So the risk now is not just financial risk. We have reputational risk, we have liquidity risk. Risk can be classified. Okay, so using that statement 100% risk-free and fully protected is not okay. It's misleading. So even us at cNGN, we have a risk disclosure statement. Oh no, you have something to say, right?
yeah, but we are not an investment vehicle, right? So that's why it's confusing for me to answer this. Is either the question is wrong or is the wrong question to ask in this context.
It's not a wrong question. It's just for us to understand that when we are messaging, when we're putting on our message, we shouldn't use that word 100% risk-free. There are risks that comes with stable coins. But what we are doing is that we're already putting controls, we're already mitigating it. We are preventing it from happening. Okay? So that's the take home for the marketing team. Thank you. So business dev. Maybe Mr. Yoyo can join if Matilda is incommunicado. Matilda, are you here? A high-value client is almost ready to onboard onto the cNGN platform, but they've refused to complete a part of the KYB form. Like this one is important, saying that, you put to do, nobody's asking us for this. Please skip that session. We are good like that. So is it okay? What would be your response to that client? How should you proceed? Should you just onboard that client? And if you need to explain the regulatory requirements, how should you do that so that you don't lose that client? Very important. And then if you need to escalate, who should you escalate to? And then what risk could we face if we onboard that client without that information? Business team, any attempt on any of the questions? Just to acknowledge that you're part of this training. Business team. Matilda is not here. Business team, you people are absent.
Yoyo is here now. Yoyo is the organ.
Okay.
Who else again?
Please answer just one of them. Just give us an input so that we'll move to the next department, please. Really. We'll come back to business team. Please, it's very important. Finance and accounts. Please, are you here? So we know. Winner, are you here? Is your team here? Just do a thumbs
Yes.
up.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
are. Okay.
Thank you. So the cNGN we know is back to one-to-one with fiat, right? And that's how we'll be saying it. So at the end of the quarter, we usually do reconciliation, and we noticed that a portion of the reserve was temporarily moved to a high-yielding investment without even senior management approving it. Yeah, so we know that eventually it was moved back, right? It was moved back. Now, but the report is currently misleading to the public. Now, these are the questions. Why is this situation risky, even though the funds are now fully backed? Is it necessary to update the public retroactively? Who needs to be informed internally? What are the potential regulatory and reputational consequences if this is discovered externally? Because it can happen. So what are the internal control or governance labs that this particular scenario reveals? And how should your team collaborate with compliance team when handling reserve disclosures and treasury operations? So any response from the team? Finance, Winner and please. Daniel, you want to
Yes. Yes, I want to talk.
Okay.
For the number one, this is risky because it undermines trust and transparency.
Okay.
Even temporarily moving the reserves without approval, which is government protocol, and
Okay.
could violate the regulatory requirements.
Okay.
Because stakeholders rely on accurate disclosure, and failure to report this action may lead to allegation of misrepresentation.
Thank you. So, do you have further things to say?
The number two, I'm still looking at it.
Okay, you mustn't answer all because of time, but then the idea is that you understand the scenario and we understand what our roles are as finance and account team, because this can actually happen, right? So we know what to do so that we don't even have it happen in real time. Thank you. So move to the next, senior management and board. So during a high-level meeting with SEC, right, the senior executive, they committed to a roadmap that includes, this is just a scenario, real-time blockchain reporting for reserve transparency, real-time, immediate rollout of automated transaction monitoring dashboards, monthly disclosure to the public. But the thing is that the scenario that we're picking up from here is that the compliance team was neither aware of this meeting nor even consulted beforehand. So even after the meeting, they were not aware. So it was after all that a follow-up letter that came from SEC now referenced those commitments as part of the company's regulatory posture, right? And what's more is that something like this has been flagged earlier in the compliance report that was submitted earlier on, but the management team still did not read it, so they didn't review it, so they didn't say it. Reputationally, operationally. So coming to the types of risk, these are risk areas. We have legal risk, reputational risk, operational risk. Could the commitment have been more strategic with compliance inputs? What internal practices do we need to change to ensure we're aligned before engaging regulators? This is a scenario. So anybody from senior management?
Okay. Let me attempt, right?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So, what could this oversight cost the company legally, reputationally? So this could be as a factor of a top-down approach from management,
Okay.
of like going out to get deals and then coming back to ensure that it is done. The risk with this is that if it is a promise being made or if it is an agreement being made without getting input from maybe the other departments, then there's a likelihood that that's sorry about my background. That's what has been promised to the SEC or what has been discussed might not be achieved or be achieved in the way that it was agreed or discussed. So, and then that would be like a failure on the whole company. So,
Thank you so much
the second one.
for attempting. That's correct.
Okay. All right, I think I can stop here.
Yes, you can. Actually, the whole idea is for us to paint a scenario and be able to understand what can actually go wrong in no time. Thank you so much. So we'll go back to the next team. Operation. Mr. Dan. Mr. Dan, do thumbs up for us, please. And MEC, both of you are in operation. So it's a missing transfer. So what happened was that it was a busy Monday morning, right? And then there was this batch redemption request, or maybe just a redemption request from Busha, then 5 million naira. And the team initiated the bond, prepared to transfer the equivalent to the Reserve Bank of Busha. So due to a manual spreadsheet error, it was only 45 million that got transferred. So it remained 30 million naira, right? And it was left pending. Meanwhile, on the blockchain, it's already showing that it's a full bond. Then 2 days later, that was even when Busha had to now know that, hey, you could not send the whole money. Then they tell you, the operation team, and you're able to send it, right? That's fine. But when compliance now knew what happened, compliance now said, why wasn't this documented and escalated? This affects reserve accuracy and redemption audit trail. So now the question is, why is it critical to report incidents involving fund movement, even if they are corrected later? What are the risks of informal fixes in a regulated environment? Remember, we're in a regulated environment. How could this affect trust with users, regulators, auditors? What should an incident report, internal incident reports include in this particular case? Because it's an internal incident, right? How could stranger cross-checking or automation have prevented, stronger cross-checking or automation have prevented this error? So just an input from your team, and we'll move to the next team.
Okay, thank you very much. I will quickly respond to these questions you've raised, and based on your scenario you've painted. And one of the things we are doing in our operation side is to put some strategic into place. Now, if you are moving fund from one place to another, number one, you're supposed to have a spreadsheet. As you are moving it from blockchain, there should be a record where you keep track of all the transactions you are carrying out. Now, on our pool, what we have been able to achieve so far is to create a spreadsheet as the fund is moving from wallet 1 to wallet B to wallet C. We are putting the record on the spreadsheet where we monitor everything, every activity. It is very critical for us to be able to track the funds in circulation and the one that have moved from one place to another. With that, it will be very easy for us to track all the funds that we are working with, and it will be very easy for us to answer some critical questions, both from finance department and the compliance team. And it is very critical. It will open up the transparency, and there will not be issues, there will not be frictions within the organizations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that input. So it boils down to record keeping, accurate record keeping. That is the only way that you can help to mitigate this. And even if it happens, you can easily see it. You will be able to actually see it. And if it happens in this kind of scenario, it's important you report, you file an internal incident report, all right? Especially if you've done maybe what's it called, reconciliation, okay? Thank you so much for that. The next team, it's fixed. but one lost it. So this is what happened. It's in the morning, of course, midnight, our backends, in fact, our developers, they are geniuses, right? They work even into the night. I can tell you that for free. So this particular early morning, one of the backend developers noticed an unusual spike in the system's ledger. All right, ledger reconciliation jobs. After digging deeper, he noticed that, oh, for the past 8 hours, the stablecoin meeting logs were not syncing again with reporting dashboard that we, the compliance team, use, right? No funds were lost and no improper meeting occurred, but the dashboard actually remained out of sync with the real-time ledger. So the developer worked on it, patched it, restarted it, did all the whole things he did, and then he now said, this is fixed, all right? Maybe he went to Slack. You know, it's Slack. They like Slack very well. This is fixed. I'm not even on the Slack, right? But they're there. This is fixed. So now no formal incident report is filed. The compliance team is not even notified. So what now happened is 1 week later, compliance will do their job. So when I started doing their quarterly checks, SEC was reviewing the internal audit streams possible, right? And requested for incident log of that particular activity that happened because it will show at that point, right? So the compliance team was actually caught off guard, led to a last minute scramble. And these are the key questions. Why is it risky to fix issues without formal incident reporting? That's internal one, not to external, especially in a regulated environment. What should the backend developer have done after fixing that issue? All right. How does the compliance team depend on incident logs to meet regulatory obligation? What qualifies as a reportable incident in a stablecoin ecosystem? How can the tech team now integrate reporting into existing workflows? It becomes part of them. They know this is what they're supposed to report. Should reporting only be triggered by fund loss? Or can a situation like this that has to do with data inconsistency count as well? Tech team.
Okay. Yeah, I think let me quickly take that. Why, first of all, why is it risky to fix up issues without formal incident reporting? Like in a regulated environment, right? We have SEC who are like looking out for documentation and following the audit trail. So it is like really important not to skipping formal reporting now can create like a gap in audit trail, which can be flagged by compliance as the compliance failure from our regulatory bodies. So I think there are a couple of risks that goes to that. In fact, like without proper documentation of the root cause, this can happen again. The same issue can happen again, which is like a red flag for our regulatory. So what should the backend have done after fixing the sync issue? First of all, before you even fix the sync issue, I know maybe it's like really urgent, right? But before you fix the sync issue, you could first of all create an incident or maybe a ticket for that particular incident that happened. Maybe if you're on call, of course, you want to create a ticket for it. Once you create a ticket for it, do your fix and document properly the root cause of the issue. Then maybe by morning, you can report to the compliance team and also report to the operations team that, hey, this is what happened and we've been able to mitigate that. How does compliance team depends on the incident logs to meet regulatory? I mean, they use the logs as proof. Of course, these logs are used as proof. So if we're able to if you're like able to report with this log and report with the Jira tickets or maybe report with the Trello tickets, the compliance team can use that as an evidence against any regulatory whistle that has been blown up, whatever. So, and then what qualifies reportable incidents for in a stablecoin ecosystem? First of all, for me, I think it's what qualifies, and I'm trying to look at this question well. If I get the question correctly, I think from top of my head, I could say data inconsistency, right? even if it is correct, yeah, even if it is corrected, right, there is still that gap, and it's like a red flag to regulatory bodies. I think if there is also like a failed webhooks, like API timeouts to partners or dashboard drifts, I mean, most of those can also be recorded so that it can be used as proof when you're reporting to regulatory bodies and so on. Maybe I think I will have to stop there so that other things can, pick up.
Yeah, you did so well. Thank you so much. And I think you made a very valid point. You said something about getting back to that incident that happened, and that's actually one of the major use cases of incident reports. If you log it and you report it and you're able to document it properly, it can't happen again because you already know this has happened. You document it, you know what you need to fix it. So it's that kind of helpful for issues. And then for us, in as much as the regulatory requirement that we also file incident reports, right? It's very important that compliance also knows what actually happened so that they can know how to process it. The tech team, other departments, it's not just tech team that is filing incident report, other departments are filing. So when it comes to the compliance, we will process it and be able to now give the better output to the regulators. That's actually how it also helps us. So thank you so much for that brilliant response, and it was helpful as well. And I believe your team members are proud of you because I could see Isaac sharing you. So the next one, compliance. Okay, legal and compliance. We missed the memo. Now the regulators are asking. Okay, so we recently onboarded the financial institution to the platform. Of course, we know we are gunning for more institutions. And as part of the engagement, the business dev team should come more and answer questions. They share the client-facing document that explains how cNGN works to benefit, like funds are settled instantly and are 100% safe. So this document, no problem. It was actually shared through maybe LinkedIn DM, right? So compliance was not involved. Of course, they're doing their work. Compliance was not involved. And this is actually what is actually obtainable, right? So compliance was not looked before. But what happened? A moment later, SEC came. They were reviewing our participation in ARIP and they reached out to our team. How? They got a copy of that document. One thing with this regulatory requirement is that the way we are filing is the same way other people are filing. It's the same way other people are submitting reports. So every indiscrepancy, they will come back. They'll be like, but Busha said this thing, that this thing happened. They will not go back to RAP CBDC. But RAP CBDC did not mention anything like this. That's where Wahala will start from. So that's why we're always very careful, right? In things we do in a regulated environment. So this is the scenario here. So now what is wrong with the use of 100% safe, the regulated environment? How should you respond to the regulator's inquiry? What gaps? Because now it's compliance that is going to respond, not business team. Like officially. How should you respond? What gaps in the internal process allowed this to happen? Because there was actually a gap that made this to happen. What steps should be taken to avoid this in future institutional communication? How can you improve collaboration between the business team and the compliance team? Compliance. Wait. You are not even here. You are here? We can't hear you. Did you unmute? We cannot hear you. We'll come back to this. Okay, so business team, Matilda, please, are you back? Because we need to take your session. Mr. Yoyo, people cannot be missing from this participation. Please, it's remaining you. That's interesting. Okay, so we'll just wrap it up. And so general team discussion. Nobody told me is something that we can always hear about, right? Hey, something happened and there was a policy, and this one is related to operation, where there was a policy upgrade, right? And we now started flagging funds that exceed 50 million within 24 hours. It was not like that before. Maybe something happened, we changed the policy and we updated it and we shared it, but we did not call for training like this. We did not gather everybody like this to do training, but the policy was updated and shared. And then the operation team now processed 120 million instead of, and the system flagged it. So when asked, what he said was, I don't know, the policy have changed. It's not in the workflow we use. So now the question is, what went wrong here? Who should take responsibility? Should we find the compliance team? Should we fire the operation? The operation has answered though. Should we go back to tech and say, why didn't we put it in the tech flow? Why? Who should we blame here? Please, anybody can answer. Should we call names? Please, let's respond so we can wrap it up. We just have like, we've overshot with 6 minutes, so we need to wrap it up. People that have not spoken before, please just speak. Rina, are you here?
I'm here. What's your question?
Okay, so I asked a question. I said, in a situation where a policy document was updated, right? And the update was that we are now putting a threshold that when there is when there's a transaction above 50 million in 24 hours, the system flags it. So the policy was updated, shared, and some people did not even see it. But then we didn't come here like this to say, hey, CEO, we have updated policy, you go and read it, or start teaching the policy. We did not do that. And then something now happened. The system flagged the 120 million, right? Who is to blame? Because the operation will say, I don't know, the policy had changed. It's not in the workflow. Should we start blaming the tech for not adding it? Should we blame the compliance for not teaching? So who should we blame here? That's the question.
I would say even the accounts is to be blamed because we have to review the policy continuously. It's not a one time thing. Everyone knows that policies get updated from time to time, although they should have been informed, but they should also do a review at intervals in case of any updates.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Dan.
Yeah, I think it should be the responsibility of the compliance department to ensure that they carry everything along whenever there is upgrade in any policy. They must ensure that everybody read it, understand it, and follow it judiciously and religiously. So if such things happen, it should be responsibility or compliance department should be blamed and not other departments. Thank you.
So failure to read or follow up a policy should be a training gap, not a disciplinary issue. That's what you're trying to say for number 5. Anyways, thank you for that contribution. I believe we got value today. We don't want to keep you more than this time because we promised 90 minutes, but then because of the technical issues we had, apologies for that. We had to go through this generally in a group like this, and I'm happy we were able to go through it, and I believe you also got value. Please, do you have any question at this point? Do you have any comments? Do you have anything to say? Please feel free at this point. In the next 3-4 minutes, we'll be wrapping it up. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to appreciate the compliance team for putting up this this training. It's quite sorry, I need to leave my co-founder. It's quite rich in terms of carrying all the whole departments together. Compliance itself, since compliance it's not just a one department team or just left to the department, the compliance department alone. That being said, one thing I'll be looking out for now is how all this are actually being put into practice. How do we put this into practice to ensure that each department is carried, and especially those risks that have been identified in terms of how do we mitigate this, because some of the scenarios that were actually painted is based on maybe something the compliance department might have witnessed or seen, or a practice that we are currently or presently doing that needs to be corrected. So what I'll be looking out for is how going forward this can be mitigated, and we put measures in place to help ourselves and help the company. So thank you, Chioma. Thank you, Gay. Thank you, everybody in the compliance team. Well done.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate the management for their support always. We appreciate. Thank you. Okay, so any other comments before we go? Okay, so I think we're done for today. So please let's take home the points. The idea is for us to understand. I always say this: nothing stops us from just starting to act or start maybe, for instance, sharing policies. No, we believe that at this point we're all learning, so we need to all come down to the playground, play together, learn together, and grow together. So that's the mindset that I have, right? So at this point, we are now informed. So this training would serve as an evidence that we have been informed. So moving forward, we are expected to now start acting. Okay. So not to worry, we'll be having through emails, newsletters, as much as we can, and as we scale up. Because what we're doing now is to build with compliance in mind, right? So thank you everybody for attending. If you have any question at all, feel free to reach out, okay? So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ma. Thank you very much, students. Brilliant presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, MD.